practice for Tuesday morning, and we are in our continuation of our receptivity three-part series. Today is the last of that three-part series, but if you want to go back and look at that, it's in the YouTube. It's on the YouTube channel under Divine Embodiment, INBODYMEANT, depending on where you're watching this video. And so we want to take a moment to arrive together in the same way that we arrive in all our moments of conscious awareness, and that is to arrive supported. Take a moment and notice how your body is held by the place where you are seated. And as you are held by the place where you are seated, we want to take a moment to notice which part of our body feels the most held by our seat. And as you are noticing how you are held by your seat, we want to take a moment to draw that into our body diagram and also write down that body part. We want to let our brain see that. You can say, here is where I am already supported, and you want to allow your body another minute to take that in. And then from that place, we want to notice, what does that quality of support feel like to be held in that way, right where you are? And you want to notice, where does that quality of support come alive in your experience? As you slow it down and receive it, how much of your body is able to receive that? And then you want to take a moment to notice your capacity that you began with on Sunday. Go back and look at that and see Sunday to yesterday. How was that able to come alive in your day? How did you apply that capacity? So we're taking out the statement, the challenge I'm facing today, and we're saying, receiving how I've applied my capacity. We're taking out the challenge I'm facing today, and we're writing in there, receiving how I have applied my capacity. So you want to feel, when you say that, where do you feel that come alive? And we want to bring our arms up. And you want to push to the edges of yourself, like if you were trying to reach for something out further than you in all directions with your arms. And back and forward. You're reaching in all different directions with your limbs, with your arms. And if you're seated, I'm seated Indian style, so I have to lift my knees up and down. I'm pressing down as I'm lifting up. Then I can turn side to side. If you're sitting in a chair that has arms on it, you can also press your forearms and your elbows into that chair. You're engaging your muscles gently but firmly so that the aliveness of the change that's occurring gets taken into your muscles. It gets utilized by your muscles. Because what can happen is that rises up, you feel like you're being electrocuted, and it makes you want to pass out. And it takes you into a place with your brain where you start kind of scrambling because it's uncomfortable. But that is the aliveness of change. And the aliveness is something that is not yet embodied. So if I think about where I feel that aliveness happening in my emotional sensory core, and as I'm reaching and extending, I'm imagining I'm lengthening my muscles and kind of stretching my skin so that there's a pathway for that to move. I'm making space for that to change, and you'll feel yourself want to stretch. And then you'll feel that stagnated aliveness move from there into your body in a different way. So you're stretching it and you're moving with it. Good. And then you take a moment to notice, now what does that feel like? When you go back through and you look at how you have applied your new capacity. What do you notice about that? Good. And now we're going to go through, I applied my capacity and this is how it went. This is how I saw myself in the process of applying that. So we're going to go ahead and write that down. We're speaking to our creator. So in line number 2 in your rise and shine practice, you're naming what is the word name? What is the name you call out when you're calling out to your creator? We're putting that first. For me, that's Jesus. So I'm saying, Jesus, this is how I see myself when I'm exercising this new capacity. I can do it a little bit here, and then this is what happens for me. And then from there, we want to notice, how do I find myself speaking about this challenge? Or about, I'm sorry, about this me using this new capacity. How do I speak about it? Or do I have words for it? Then my impulse to behave, how easy was it for you to keep applying that? Or was there a level where you went through it, you were able to do it a little bit, and then what happened? So we're looking over the last 3 days and this capacity as it's been applied. And you want to notice, where does that come alive within your emotional sensory core? And again, you want to move your limbs, not to dissipate that, but to integrate it. So I'm trying to breathe, and as I feel that emotion and the aliveness and the sensations that come with that, I want to bring that in. I'm softening my shoulders, I'm softening my hips, but I'm engaging my limbs, my feet, my hands, and moving my head. How does my breathing respond to this new capacity? In the past, when you have tried to exercise a capacity like this, how is that different than now, receiving this capacity today? And this present challenge makes me think, what is going to happen in my future? And here we come to the place where we are reparented. So we're saying, God, show me how you are wanting me to apply this capacity in my life. What is the purpose of me receiving this? Let's take a moment and we're turning to our Creator. And, well, not a moment, we're taking the rest of the class and the rest of our life to turn to our Creator and say, show me how you intended for me to apply this capacity. Let's take a moment and let's see. When I see myself in it, and this is how I'm doing, how do you see me in it? And then we're saying, here's how I speak about it. Here's how I speak about this capacity. Mhm. And then you want to notice, here's how I'm behaving in this. And we are asking our Creator, show me how to navigate through this, because this is what I'm doing with it. then how do I care for the emotions and the sensations that arise as I am moving into this new capacity? And then how does your breathing respond to that challenge? I am directing my mind, my heart, and facing into my creator and allowing that to be reorganized. And then we're gathering all of our past selves, all of the ages and stages. And then we're saying, how is this capacity a part of my purpose that you have in store for me? How is this capacity a part of my purpose that you have in store for me? And so notice where we're saying, show me exactly the steps to take today so that I can stand in this. And notice what stands out this morning as you're transferring those action steps into your day. And as you're seeing that, can you see yourself being carried through it? What do you guys notice? Do you guys notice connected to applying your capacity? You're going to feel like you're failing in these little short bursts, but you're going to see that you're growing with it. So how are you guys feeling that? How do you notice that?
I'm feeling a lot calmer today, for one thing.
Uh-huh.
And and there is an awareness that I didn't have before that the getting all involved in the excitement was drawing me away from my center, away from my support.
Right.
Whereas before I thought it was something that came because I was more supported. So it's like an awareness that it's exactly the opposite, that I was looking outside of myself for the wholeness by getting distracted by the goodness, and that's just totally outside of my understanding of how I perceived all of these teachings throughout my life. It's just the opposite.
Yeah.
And it's very humbling, and it's very inconsistent right now. It's like I can jump back on one of those, oh, this is cool, or I'm enjoying myself with these people or whatever, but I can already tell it's not as strong. The impulse to stay with that is not as strong as it was even yesterday, even the day before.
Yeah, and think of it as
something happening there.
Yeah, and the shelf life of the new capacity is going to be these little bursts, and in your physiology, it's going to feel like unsteadiness or like an unsureness, and then it'll feel good for a moment, and then it drops off because it's building capacity, and you're doing these little micro gathering, and here's where I did that here with these people, and then here's where I did that over here when I clean my house or whatever, and then here's where I did that. So what's happening is you're starting to see there might be 40 different places in your life where you were doing that, and each one of those little places is like a little micro gathering. You're going to bring it into this new way of doing it. So I don't go as far down out that road. I just do a little blip and a little blip and a little blip, and I'm able to be radically tender to that part of myself and bring it into this new foundation of being able to be carried and be more consistent and steady. But this is the hardest part because it feels the worst. And it doesn't make any sense to the brain. Why does this not feel good? And then it like makes the brain think, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm failing at this. I'm not doing good. And it's like, well, look at what we're looking at when we're seeing the new capacity is look at all the turnarounds that you do, just like you're saying, I was able to turn around. I don't go, and how much less you're going out of yourself in the way that you used to. Or if you're somebody who, this is speaking about somebody who is out, alive, very alive and out in the world, that's a different nervous system than somebody who is collapsed. So somebody who's collapsed is going to be coming in more, coming in more, coming in more, and then kind of collapsing and coming in and collapsing and coming in. So whatever your primary nervous system pattern is, you're just going to kind of see yourself doing this little zigzag. And that is the true embodiment of it, because that's you remaining conscious throughout. And that's what it's going to feel like.
And
So
if you had not given me that information there, I was already feeling myself going into the old pattern of I didn't do it right,
right.
or I'm not good enough kind of thing. And then
Yep.
those things were still there, but I was, and this makes it even more helpful because I'm much more aware of those little nagging voices that are still there. But if I weren't conscious of that in the way that you just put it, I would be eventually allowing them to get bigger and bigger, and maybe going back through my old patterns if I didn't keep up the process of looking at it each day and doing it the way we're doing it.
Right. And those
That's
little,
what's happened to me in the past, for sure.
yep. And those little things that come up, those are your targets for tenderness. So I feel myself out. I feel a mindset that comes with that. That's my target for tenderness. That's what I'm gathering. That's what I'm gathering back in, is that mindset, because that mindset needs to be reparented. But the first thing we have to do is be able to gather it and bring it in and bring it into a place of care, acknowledgement, and rest. And we're taught to demonize that part of ourselves. We're taught to push that part of ourselves out. And all we're doing is, these are the building blocks for wholeness. That's the part of myself that's fractured out. I got to be able to come into relationship with that and gather that back in tenderly. So it's my target for tenderness that's going to show up in the form of me initially thinking I'm doing it wrong because it feels not good. But that feeling is the aliveness of the instability that has to be created in the body in order for a change to happen in my body, in my nervous system. If I don't feel myself getting unstable, then I'm doing the same old, comfortable, familiar thing. But it doesn't matter. We can understand this cognitively. We can say, yeah, that makes sense. But the embodiment of that and the feeling of that and how that is what drives our behavior, it overrides it until we really, really see the pattern and see the pattern and see that we are all doing this. There's no not doing this. We are going to do this, and this is the exact steps. It's linear, linear, linear. You're going to get a little burst. You're going to go out. You're going to feel I'm too far out. That's going to trigger your brain to think like I'm doing this wrong. You're going to gather it. You're going to come back in. You're going to rest. You're going to feel better. Wow, I didn't go so far out that time. That's great. But the brain's still like, yeah, but you should be perfect. Because if it's a real capacity and you're really being carried, then it should just be right. It's never going to be that. It's going to be these little zigzags. And it's uncomfortable. And so what we're learning to do is to see that's my target for tenderness. That's really uncomfortable. How do I tend to that radically and bring that into a place of experiencing acknowledgement, rest, and care? And then I become more whole, and then I'm able to move in a completely different way. So you're right on track.
Yeah, it seems like the new part for me, or the unknown part before, or whatever, was I was accepting of the emotion, but I wasn't understanding or knowledgeable about the process of what was happening. So I get caught up in, oh, I'm going to do this thing, and then ignore all the little messages that were coming up. I would say, oh no, I don't believe you anymore, rather than, oh, come on, I'll help you. I'll be
That's
with you. So that was a
that
big shift just now. Yeah.
that's
Thank you.
exactly it. And that tenderness, I'll help you. Like that's the Christ tenderness. All of myself is welcome. There's no part of me that's wrong. I never was taught this. That's why we've been doing that. I'll help you. There's room here for you. There's no mistakes being made. There's only growth happening. You know what? We get to rest and be cared for and nourished through this entire journey of growth. Perfect, right on track. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels super intense because you are dynamically, physiologically, molecularly changing. And that requires everything to be stirred up and moved in a different direction. And it happens multiple times a day. So we can really get like run over by it, but you're not going to go very far, because as long as you keep doing the practices, the way they're set up, keep interrupting that every single day. It interrupts us taking a left turn and allows our roads to become straight and whole and cared for and nourished. And that builds the solid foundation in my physiology, in my brain, in my relationship. And it's the piece that's missing is an actual relationship, not a behavior. We're all coming out of just applying behavior to all this. And what we're being invited into is a relationship. So just like you said, hold on, I'll help you. That's the relationship. That's what you're applying there. You're not applying a behavior, a technique. You're caring for yourself, empowered by a love that's teaching you how to love, and that you don't have to be afraid to do that. So right on track, right on track. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Precision, precision, precision in that linear process. And you can see, where do you guys feel it? Another participant is also feeling it. What are you noticing?
It's interesting. I found that it was extremely helpful because you've said this a couple times, and it's like of how it the quality of support has a short shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kept on thinking that I'm running out of gas. There's something I'm doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that I found that my capacity was like popcorn. It'd pop up and then it would just go flat. And
Yep.
then that kind of back and forth and back and forth. And I found that similar to what the other participant was talking about, I'm not as disappointed with myself when I'm failing, because I feel like I keep on jumping out of my body and
Mm-hmm.
then coming back in, jump out of my body and come back in. And before I would berate myself because I had jumped out of my body. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like, oh, come on back here. There's a gentle, caring invitation. Come on back and let's try this again. You
Mm-hmm.
know? So it's a much gentler turnaround to come back in my body
Mm-hmm.
rather than being mean to myself because I left again.
Right.
You know? Um,
And that's the thing, guys. Notice how what she's talking about too is relationship.
yeah.
Is Jesus teaching us religion or relationship? What's he teaching us? He's
Yeah.
teaching us relationship through a power of love that is always with us, carrying us. That's what Jesus is teaching us. He's not teaching us religion. He's never taught us religion, because religion is behavior, or performance is behavior. So when you're coming from the right relationship, which is a relationship foundationally built on love and patience and care. And if you go back and you look at the qualities of the Holy Spirit, discernment, patience, kindness, love, all of those things are the things that you are exercising organically. You're already exercising them organically when you are receiving this support, because you become this support. And what looks like a short and feels like a short shelf life is the little micro gatherings of the 40 different ways, the 100 different ways in which I have done this skewed thing. And it's about me bringing all of that back into a wholeness. So I got to gather it. As soon as I see myself out or collapsed, I got to say, it's okay. We can do a little bit more here. And then we're
The
going to
interesting thing that,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The interesting thing that I found is that it felt much different than when my mind is deciding, oh, I'm going to be kind here, or
Yeah,
I'm going to be nice here. It
right.
it comes from, I can literally feel it comes from a different place in my body
Yeah,
than when it is a behavioral choice.
right. And notice how
You
toxic
know?
and yucky the other behavioral choice is, because that's
I
manipulation.
know.
Yep.
Exactly. It feels sticky. It feels
Yeah,
sticky.
yeah,
It's not clean. Yeah.
yeah, yep.
It's
And
manipulative.
that's exactly it. And that's violent, because it's like saying, I'm going to force this situation to become what I want it to become.
Yeah.
And it is like, when we talk about all the violence that's in the world right now, we think, well, I'm not violent. It's like, yeah, you are. You're either being violent to those around you, manipulating them, or you're being violent to yourself,
Right.
or both, right?
Usually
So,
both.
yes. And it's only until we start to really feel, until I start to really let myself be reparented and be given new direction, and then take action on that new direction that feels super unsafe, and then do it a fourth of the way right and get it wrong, and then come back and feel that that love that is with us and watching us is not saying get it right. It's saying start taking steps in this direction and fail and be renewed by me and rest, and you're going to be doing this a quarter of the percent right, quote unquote right, because you don't have the power. You have to come back. And that's why the analogy is a well.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep coming back to the well, because the capacity is like water. I got to drink it, but I have to drink it again in another hour or in another 10 minutes, depending on what I'm doing and what I'm facing into. So again, it's about this reconfiguration of really understanding who the actual power is versus me. I am not in power at all. I'm not the
Yeah.
one who creates the power. I'm not the one who knows what to do with the power when I get it. And I'm not the one who can even exert it for more than 10 minutes. And it really gets you positioned correctly on who is your creator and who is the one who's here to participate with the creator. And the more that we get humbled and reorganized and get in the right slot and in the right position with that, the more peace we have. Because we're not trying to play God and violently manipulating every single thing we do, in, like you're saying, out of kindness and love.
So called. Yeah.
We're all doing it. We're all doing it.
Yeah.
And we're all doing it to ourselves, and we're all doing it to each other. So it's like being able to come into this discipline of interrupting, redirecting, coming back to coming from rest, coming back from being supported. This is all right on track. This is all right on track. And notice how that feels when you can see that. Like, holy cow.
There's more hope than despair,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that hope has a power of aliveness that comes with it, that if my physiology can take that in, is what is carrying me. Are there any other pieces that you want to share? Any other pieces that stand out?
there's so many different things that have happened in the last several days. Being able to be with family members that I find are rather trying, and being able to be with them and inhabiting my own body differently and going in knowing that I was being carried. And it was so interesting because the entire interaction of the 3, 4 hours I was there was so totally different. And I left there with my heart filled. What I was also noticing was that as a result of that, I was able to receive. Normally, I would have been so busy judging myself and them that I was not able to receive the goodness that was there, the love that was there, no matter how convoluted or skewed, because I was able to see how that love would just be coming kind of a little bit cockeyed, but the intent, the desire of everybody's heart, I was able to see that and feel that rather than to judge that it wasn't happening correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, it's like somebody gave me a new pair of glasses.
Mm-hmm. Christ did. And that's
Yes.
the whole thing. And that's the way God's seeing us. I see your heart's intention, even though your
Yeah.
behavior is skewed.
Yeah.
It's like huge.
And I feel so grateful because I'm able to be present with them and truly I don't feel like I'm enduring being with them. I'm actually enjoying being with them. So it's almost like they've not changed anything. They're just being who they are. It's like something inside of me has moved.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I think that's the greatest freedom with this work. It's like people around us won't necessarily change. Sometimes they will after a decade of us doing this. But
Right?
we came so much at that point where we're not bumping up against them and evoking the crap out of them so that they can change.
Right.
So it's like it all rests back onto what am I receiving, because whatever God's giving me will complete me. It will be enough.
Yeah.
It's already given to me for free. Am I willing to receive that? If I can receive that, that's going to get my nervous system positioned where I can fully be present then for everybody else, instead of being a raging narcissistic person who everybody's using that word. And it's like, everybody is that word. Everybody
Right.
is that. And every time we get evoked,
Yeah.
we're going to become that, because we are so self-absorbed in our own whatever we have going on that we are not receiving the love, the care, the living support and renewal that is actually giving everybody some place to breathe. And so it's like coming into this and coming into these steps, when you look at the value of what these practices are doing in aligning our nervous system back to our creator. This is linear, it works, it's going to keep progressing you no matter what dysfunction you're coming from. It's going to start putting you back together. And then you actually get to receive what's been there all along, which is the most humbling, crazy thing.
Mm.
It's awesome.
So I want to chime in here because I had that experience too of the people that I was with yesterday when I was very vulnerable during the time when I was concerned about how to take care of my husband and knew and not knowing how to do it. That when I was in class yesterday, there was such a feeling of closeness with the people that were in the class, whether they knew about it ahead or not. It seemed like the more vulnerable I allowed myself to be, and the less I could take care of myself, the more the people around me were close to me and wanted to do something for me. And in the past, when I've been very sure I can do it all myself, kind of. I was very insulated, and I did not feel close to the same people. I felt a lot more isolated, and I thought maybe they didn't like me. And this sense now of just the last few days, it's like, no, it was me. I was not open to be part of anything. I was in charge of everything.
Yep.
It's like I did not see that until I was wondering why all these people being so nice. They were just being so open and so freely giving of, their smiles, their hugs, everything. And I hadn't done anything except just open the door and say, I'm available. And it feels like that's the same thing I'm doing in the inside with being open for this, the support of Christ to come into my life. It also is opening the doors for the people around me.
Yeah.
Who knew?
and you're trusting that you don't have to be in charge.
Right.
Allows that.
In fact, I want to be fired. I'm firing myself.
Right. We're just now getting fired, but we got served our papers when we were born. Really fired though? Like, can't you really just get it all together and do it? No, I'm fired and I want to be fired. Yeah. So this is.
I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that I want to shift from there being this person in charge. Get rid of the hierarchy. We're all in this together, and every one of us helps. From the person who has no clue and is living life terribly in terms of not taking care of themselves or anyone else, they're offering the rest of us opportunities to be open and accept them as though we, just like we would these little parts of ourselves that we don't accept. So it's not different in that sense for me anymore.
Find it in yourself, to find it in yourself, because wherever you see that, showing you there's a place in you that's doing that. It might take you 3 days to find it, but it's there.
Yes.
And that's the thing that is also really remarkable. Like, one of the other fundamental principles of this is to find the plank in your own eye. And I think that is, if we're really adhering to that, and we're coming to our practices and we're using our practices, you're going to work that through in such a short amount of time, and it's going to take you out of suffering. It's going to bring you closer to your wholeness that's waiting for you. And it's built on, like, gathering in those judgments, gathering in how we think we see it. No, I'm doing great. And they're going to just like, I'm never getting it right. Like, I'm getting it right for a moment to be in that alignment, but then I have to go, and my invitation is constant gathering, just like the ocean waves. There's constantly waves coming. And can I be tenderly there and positioned to gather each one? And what I tend to do is I gather 3 or 4, and then I'm like, I'm doing amazing. Like, and then I miss 7 of them. I miss 7 of them. And those are 7 parts of myself out there floating around. And then I have to have some uncomfortable experience come along to wake me up so I can find them again. So the slower and lower we become, the smaller we become, the more positioned we are to gather those and to not miss the opportunity to gather ourselves and bring ourselves home. Thank you guys for sharing. We're coming to the end of our time, but we can talk about this more tomorrow. Let's see, how do I keep applying this capacity? Let's do one more day of this, one more day of conversation, and we'll come in and see how does this flow through. And so some of you who are watching this on replays, some of you who are here live, but we didn't really have time to go through all of it, you'll be able to share tomorrow and come and talk about what's happening. If you can't be in the morning time, but you do have something that's happening and want to share, shoot me a text or send me an email, and I will read it into the class, because we're all going to do this. Our systems are going to react the same. The response in our nervous system is universal. There's nobody who's not responding. You're just either collapsing, or you're coming forward, or you're moving out of being completely disassociated into coming in and not leaving, not being paralyzed. So or moving out of addiction into this. So you're going to be doing it one of those ways, and we want to be able to talk about those different ways and how that's showing up so people can recognize themselves in it and realize that they are not uniquely dysfunctional. We're all dysfunctional. And we all are going to be bumping against this edge as our new capacity shows up, and it does not feel anything like we want it to feel. We think we should just be running through the pansies for 15 hours straight, 7 days straight, no interruption of that, and that means it's right. And that is insanity. That's not right. That is completely disconnected and is not in a position to gather in all of your history, all your parts and your pieces that have been held out of there. We got to be able to bring those home. And that is the formula for wholeness in Christ. So we want to be able to let our brains hear it. I want to be able to articulate it. I want to hear other people talking about it in many different ways so that I can really understand this pattern. Once I understand this, this is the roadmap to wholeness, built on rest and nourishment and care and acceptance and acknowledgement. I mean, this is the good news that Jesus came to share. And it is about a relationship. It's not about a religion. And we need this. So I give you guys a big hug for sticking with it. We're going to stick with it for one more day in this theme. The next theme that's coming up, super fun. I want to rub my hands together because this is going to be a 2-week process we're going to go through. It is on gathering in your victimization. Where did you feel victimized? And really keep going and standing on that hill and claiming it. We're going to spend 2 weeks on that because that victimization has big rocket boosters, and that can really keep leading us out of receiving the gift that's alive in it and where God is taking us. So we're going to spend 2 weeks. Think about how powerful it is spending 4 focus days on your capacity. We're going to uproot that victimization and bring it home into a place of the power of rest that's right here. And I think this is going to change our lives in a significant way. So we're going to spend 2 weeks on that. After tomorrow, spending 1 more day in our capacity. It's going to be very powerful. Don't worry. I know some of you guys are traveling. Some of you guys are doing some different things over the next couple of weeks. All of these are uploaded. I'm not sure if you guys have gone onto the school app, but if you go into the school app and you look under classrooms and you see there the scripture, song, and whatever, those are the pieces that go along with each of these rise and shines. And I realized, oh, I'm not putting the rise and shine and the evening practice in there too. I'm going to go back over the next couple days and put all of them in there. So when you see those numbered, one right now we have 18 or 19. We might be on 19 today. 19 full complete practices here. I'm going to be adding in the morning and the evening practice. All of it's already on YouTube, but it'll be organized there as like its own little full day. So if you guys are missing a day, you'll be able to see. And I'll start saying today, we're on 19. I think we are on 19 today. Yes, today is number 19. So you'll be able to go in there and see the scripture, the song, the verse, the movement sequence, the morning practice, and the evening practice, all of it in one place. Jesus is saying he wants me to do 4 journals worth, so that's a whole year worth of those, and they're going to be numbered so that you can be in your journal and be completing these days. This is going to change your life and reconfigure your molecules of you so that you can be standing in your purpose. And the practices work. So thank you all for being here. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I want to hear from a couple other of you, even just in small parts. How is this capacity helping you? And then we're going to get into victimization. Super fun. Love to you guys, and I will see you when it suits your schedule next. Have a great Tuesday.